Hey guys, my name is Ryan Chapman, and 5 days ago I survived an aircraft crash in a Sukhoi 26 due to an engine failure.
Help, help, help. Yeah, upside down.
Ambulance on the way. I don't think we can lift this up. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Once I realized I got a serious problem here, I just headed for greenery. From the first sign of an engine sputter to me on my back in the field is 74 seconds.
Well, I'm honored that you're letting me be the guy to take you for your first flight after the incident. Oh man, I'm happy you have me.
We're gonna try to lift tail here.
So this episode is not exactly what we hoped it would be. The original plan was to come out here to do like a week worth of training with Luke, my aerobatic instructor, who's also a part of Team Canada, with our friend Ryan, who was going to bring his Sukhoi 26 out. As we got closer and closer, the weather looked worse and worse, but that was the least of our problems because Ryan crashed his airplane like 3 days before we started. He's okay, but his airplane is not. She had 3 cameras rolling, so we are going to debrief his crash and learn what we can. He was a good sport, did a bunch of other flying, and I got a bunch of training done. That one totally melted my brain. And I've got Brock here helping me film, and he's also currently helping edit right here, right now, on the fly. We're getting stuff done for a quick turnaround episode.
Some people think aerobatics is just about stunts and fancy maneuvers, but it's about carefully planning your routine. Flying the maneuvers is one thing, but it's also about where you put them in the box. If you fly the same figure perfectly in 2 different spots of the box, you could get 2 completely different scores based on parallax.
So this is a really good mental visualization tool. You know, kind of have my hand as a stick and think about what I'm going to be doing.
I would hate to give like Team Canada secrets away, but
Our secret is maple syrup. That's what keeps us going. Right? That's why engines run so good.
and a little in the tank.
Maybe not in my case, but
That's a future episode about my training to fly competitive aerobatics, and I really appreciated Ryan's positivity. I'm with my buddy Ryan here, who just survived a pretty traumatic incident. Under tough circumstances, he still came out to be a part of this.
I was over the Collingwood town and the engine started to sputter, and I had to conduct a forced landing in a field in a very unhospitable, area.
So this is very fresh, so we're going to share this debrief with you guys. Before we got into the crash debrief, I took Ryan for a low-key flight in the RV-14, and he showed me some stuff I didn't know it could do. This airplane does beautiful aerobatics, but one thing I wish I understood better when we were building it was that we should have put an air oil separator or some kind of catch can in, because any negative G and it loses a bunch of oil. So this is from Ryan doing a slow roll. It was beautiful, but we went -0.5 G. I'm gonna estimate we lost 1/3 of a quart just right then. So normally you make the guy who made the mess clean it up, but that was Ryan's first flight after his incident, and I'm not gonna make him do that. It was an honor to fly with him, and I was happy to be the first guy to get him back in the air. And honestly, it was pretty cool to see him do a perfect slow roll in this airplane. So I don't mind cleaning up some oil.
What a nice airplane, man. It's just... Yeah, thanks. We're pretty happy with it. This track's beautiful. Well, I'm honored that you're letting me be the guy to take you for your first flight after the incident. Gotta get back on that horse, right? Yeah, that's it, man.
Situations happen to you where you have a life or death situation. I think everyone processes it differently. Consider myself a pretty resilient person, and I feel like mentally I'm dealing with this pretty well.
I'm glad you're fine, man. Yeah? So good?
Ryan has access to several other airplanes, but he chose not to fly here so soon after the incident, and I'm keenly aware of the potential for some emotional baggage, so I'm watching him closely to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, so if you want to pull some G's, just get yourself figured out and see how you feel, and then if you want to roll it or anything, we're belted in, there's nothing loose. Yep. Just tell me before you actually go invert it.
Competition aerobatics is all about precision, and at the world level, pilots like Ryan are rigorously training 3 to 4 days per week, flying 2 to 3 times per day. They're pulling 10 G positive and pushing 8 G negative. Sessions are 15 to 20 minutes long, and they usually have a coach on the ground giving feedback.
Alright, well, I'll do a steep turn. Yeah. Alright, I'm looking left, looking right, no traffic. I'm secure, you're secure. Engine running great. Yeah. Alright, I'll just do a 180. And we'll see how we go. Yeah.
One of the things I love about this airplane is how high-tech the panel is, but I gotta remember to disable some of the helpful features before we have too much fun, as you'll see in a second.
Engaging auto.
Oh shit, I forgot to turn off the ESP. That's alright. Okay, ESP engaged, that won't happen again. That's so good. Anyway, it is now disabled, autopilot's off, so it's back to you. Alright.
We'll catch up with more of this flight, but for now, let's get back to the debrief.
For those that don't know, I fly a Sukhoi 26. It's a high-performance aerobatic airplane that I plan to compete at the World Championships in. So I'm on the Canadian team with 7 other guys. My plan was to take that to the World Championships and compete and hopefully bring back the gold for Canada. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of flight shops and all the work you do. I think it's important that we all learn from each other as aviators. It's important to share these things so we can all get better and be safer pilots, right? And that's why I'm doing this. We don't know what happened yet. That's still under investigation. But the purpose of this video is to really just share my experience and how I dealt with the emergency, because I think there is a lot of learning opportunities and hopefully save someone's life. So here I am doing some aerobatics. This is the tail end of my sequence. Here I am flying over the top, 3/4 roll, coming out exit and heading towards the airport. So just taking a breather here, just collecting my thoughts, getting some altitude. So everything seems fine. I'm just enjoying the sights at this point. And about now, the engine starts to surge about 2 or 3 times and immediately get the nose down and hit the fuel pump and primer switch, thinking that maybe I have a fuel pump issue. That basically, you know, did nothing. Go through the course checks. You know, check the magnetos, cycle the power, and nothing was happening. So also looked at my gauges, noticed my fuel pressure is really low. Oil temp was good, and oil pressure was good before the engine failure. All I could really do was do some basic course checks, which I did within the first 10 seconds of the first sign of the emergency, and then fly the airplane. So I got the plane configured for best glide, which for the Sukhoi is 160 to 190 kilometers per hour, depending on your prop configuration. What I end up doing is bringing the prop back once I've determined that the engine's completely unresponsive. So in an aerobatic airplane, when you lose oil pressure, the prop goes into 5/8 course, and it's designed that way because if you lose oil pressure on a vertical downline, it's to protect the propeller from overspeed. So I've already got a very efficient, clean propeller with that configuration, but there's still a little bit more in the tank. So by bringing the prop lever back to half, I'll leave just a little bit of I guess room, if you will, to give me a bit more of a boost if I need it to clear any obstacles, etc.
So you're using this like a glider spoiler at this point?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I didn't want to touch the prop too much. I had my glide figured out. First rule in aviation is aviate, and then next is navigate. So where am I going to go? So I immediately head for the green, because I want to get past the city, because there's really no other good options. And as pilots, we obviously take a lot of responsibility in making sure that we're keeping people safe. So I just wanted to get the aircraft out of the city, which I ended up doing.
So all what you just said happened in like 10 seconds, and that's like you just took almost 2 minutes to explain it. That's how fast your brain is to go to make this decision that you're about to proceed now to pick a field.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I'm sure we've all had that experience where you're under a lot of stress, time seems to slow down. Yeah. That's exactly what it felt like. And after the 10 seconds, I immediately knew like there was no way, or there's a low probability that this was not going to end up in a forced landing. So I've already made that commitment in my mind that this is happening. The plane is now in a low idle state, so the engine's actually still running, which is makes things interesting because now the prop's moving, it's creating a disc, so there's more drag. I didn't want to shut the motor off because just in case it came back on for whatever reason, I wanted to give myself every option possible. So the Sukhoi, unfortunately, is not a great glider. In this particular configuration, it's a glide ratio of 4:1, so not very good. Things are happening very quick. Now I'm just at the point of like, okay, I know where I'm kind of generally going, let's communicate. So there was a R-44 helicopter in the circuit at Collingwood Airport. So now I'm starting to communicate with him, make the Mayday call, you know, Mayday, 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 Lima Victor Echo, declaring an emergency. And he immediately came back on the radio and he said, where are you? And I told him it's about 1 mile, 2 miles from the shoreline, heading towards Collingwood. And he said, can you give me more details? And I just said, I can't, I'm landing. Because I knew exactly what was going to happen. And the options I had were very limited. Like there was some houses down there, there's some buildings obviously, I want to keep away from people, and there was a road. And I would have taken the road, but unfortunately there were 2 or 3 cars on there. And you can see on the left-hand side of my wing here, you can see this nice stretch of road with power lines on both sides. So immediately it didn't feel right. So I went for the field, and you might not be able to tell, but the field was actually waterlogged because we had a lot of rain a few days prior.
So yeah, when I was flying the Suk, what are we at, 24? Okay. So yeah, a little bit lower than this. It didn't have all these fields. Yeah. It was just one, you know, like it was Yeah, so you feeling a bit of PTSD looking out there? Or you good?
No, I'm good, man. It's just, just kind of looking and going, oh yeah, I'll land on that one, I'll land on that one, land on that one, land on that one.
Yeah.
Just looking back at my incident, it's like, no,
you
can't land anywhere.
You had one choice and you took it.
Yeah, that's what so you see that field there that's all wet?
Yeah, that's sad.
That's what it looked like from where I was saying. So, when you look at that in this airplane, you're like,
no way.
That's not going to be good, yeah. And then the road was probably about as wide as this one with power lines on each side, so it's very similar.
Yeah.
But I know if there were no cars, I would have taken the road, even though it'd be pretty tight.
So all I could do was fly the airplane for that spot. At this point, as I'm banking from base to final, you can't really see it in the video, but there are power lines. There's 50-foot and 25-foot power lines, pretty much right next to, like, under each other.
Ryan's slumped over nose cam actually did capture the power lines really well, and wow, did he get close.
As pilots, we're taught about flying best glide, and that's great for distance, but I wasn't going for distance on this one because I was already committed to the field. So what I did is I traded best glide distance for height. So I got a little slow in the Sukhoi. The Sukhoi, as I said, not a great glider. So instead of being at 160 for best glide, I actually brought it back to about 150, 140. And as I get over the power lines, I was about 140. And that was by plan. I really had to fly the wing. So I didn't want to hit the power lines because that would be a really bad day. And I think the chances for the best successful outcome was to put it on the field, even if it meant, and knowingly knew that I was going to end on my back because the field is soft. And for anyone who flies tail draggers knows that soft fields, small wheels, don't mix well. So as you can see here, as I'm making that turn, there are some cars on the road. I just didn't want to take that chance by landing there. So I was committed to this field and I wasn't going to deviate. I didn't do any shutdown checks on the airplane. I wanted to leave everything as is because the priority was to fly it safely and I don't want to be distracted. But there was also in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, wow, what if the engine comes back online, I can get out of this. Now that's a mixed bag in terms of risk factors because then it starts again and shuts down, then you might be in the worst spot. But I wanted to give myself a chance knowing that there was quite a bit of clear area in front of me. So no matter what, if I lost the engine the second time around, if it did miraculously restart, I can put it down in the field and still not put anyone at risk. So now I'm turning final. You can see the glide profile and how quickly it's coming down. You can actually just make out the power lines now. Plane's coming down like this. It's almost like it's auto-rotating like a helicopter. And the reason why that's important is in these airplanes are extremely blind. By just eyeballing it, I just didn't like the look of it. I figured if I had stuck with the 160 glide speed, I probably would have hit the power lines or got cautiously close, which I got close enough in this situation, in my opinion. And the plan was once I clear the power lines, drop the nose, get whatever energy I can, and put it in a 3-point attitude, and put the plane on the ground, which ends up happening. So now I drop the nose, get a little bit of energy. I'm really slow on the back end of the LD curve. The plane touches the 3-point, mud's soft, and bam.
Help, help, help.
The scariest part was being upside down and stuck in the aircraft. Like I'm not a small guy, I'm 6'3", 250 pounds, so the cavity between the turtle deck behind me and the side window bar, it's pretty tight. First thing was get out, and I actually had the master still on because I wanted to talk to the helicopter guy because I knew I was gonna need help. And I told him, help, help, help. And he says, are you on the ground? Yes, and I told him I was stuck. And then I shut everything off. So I actually drifted about 100 to 150 to 200 feet on the ground, and then when I went on my back, I slid about 12 feet with my head underneath the aircraft. It took about 4 minutes for me to get out of the aircraft. I had a helicopter come by and assist me, and I owe that gentleman a few beers because it was a huge help, and the other people that helped me too. It was a joint effort in terms of making sure I got out safely. Luckily, no fire, nothing like that. It was soft dirt and the airplane's built like a tank. So I think, I attribute the design to keeping me safe in that regard. And also wearing my helmet was a huge help because I believe if I wasn't wearing my helmet, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now. But this was the helmet that saved my life because the impact to my head was quite significant. So there's a scratch there where a piece of glass tried to go in, and then there's a crack at the back. So if you look at the helmet, it flexes completely, like there's a crack inside.
Yeah, I have the same helmet as you, and mine does not do that.
No. So Bonehead Composites, I owe them my life. And obviously this helmet means a lot to me, as you know. There's a lot of cultural references. I'm from New Zealand originally, and my wife's Czech, and my son's first-generation Canadian, which also makes me proud to be on the Canadian team. And I've got their names on the back as well to remind me not to do anything stupid.
I'm going to publish a full version of this debrief with Luke and Ryan that got really deep on Pilot Nerds, and I'll probably also post a raw version for Flight Shop's Patreon supporters.
So I have to take my helmet off because I can't sit through. So you can see me kind of breaking some glass there and putting my hand through. And then I immediately undid my belts and tried to get out, but I couldn't. I was absolutely pinned. So the biggest concern to me was some sort of fire. And then I'm just here waiting because it's all I could do. I figured if I could gymnastics myself around and get my legs beneath me, I could probably push the aircraft up with my back, but it wasn't gonna work out that way just because things were so tight. So I'm starting to like try and move things around and just wiggle, do anything I can to get out. And unfortunately, it's a very tight spot. So at this point, all I could do is wait. Give it a bit of time here. You actually see the helicopter in the reflection of the turtle deck right there.
It's amazing how fast this all came together.
It was, yeah. It was a perfect, imperfect situation. You know, everyone coming to my aid extremely quickly. It was serendipitous that way. Because I mean, we've all heard of situations where people don't get help and things go sideways pretty quick.
Yeah, they're surviving the crash and then they're surviving the post-crash.
Yeah, exactly. There's two phases in an emergency like this. The hardest thing about this wasn't necessarily dealing with the emergency. It wasn't even dealing with the fact that, you know, an accident had happened. It's actually my family, like coming home to my wife and my son. Like, you know, thinking about like widowing my wife is a traumatic thing for me to process, and my son too, leaving him without a dad. It's pretty hard, but you know, like most things, you got to keep moving forward and get back on that horse. And without their support, I couldn't do this. They're my rock.
So yeah, we can try a roll. I'm feeling up for it.
Yeah, just get us into a clear pocket. Let me just check. Sure, I'm tight. You're tight.
Yeah,
nothing loose. So it'll roll pretty good at 110 even.
Yeah, let me try it.
Try 120 or 130.
Speed, yeah.
Yeah, 130 is fine. I want to get there. Yeah, that's a bit much for the push.
Yeah,
you're doing a slow roll. You're so good. So that probably costs us a bit of oil. Yeah, we can't really push that much in this thing.
Okay.
But good job. I mean, that was a slow roll.
Yeah, so we probably lost a third of a quart. Kind of what I expected. If you don't get a catch can or an air oil separator, you're gonna dump oil anytime you do any negative G whatsoever. I'm like double fisting here.
Yeah, I smell that oil there.
Yeah. Clear and coming up. Check, roll.
And of course, Ryan could also do a perfect, more conventional roll with no negative G.
Traffic.
Energy back. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, man, this is a beautiful machine. I want one. This is really cool, man. Thank you for taking me up.
Oh yeah, happy to do it, man. Got up to about 3G at negative half.
There you go.
A little tiny taste of what you normally do. So what are you normally doing? Like
plus 10, minus 8.
Damn.
That's brutal. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Happy to do it.
I'm going to share the accident from all three angles uncut, but please don't rip and repost this. To help Ryan out, share the link to this video instead, or even better, visit his GoFundMe and or his sponsors. There's a bunch of deal codes in the description. Let's help get him to the World Championships.
The canopy is pulled towards you to unlock, right? Push towards the glass to lock.
We're also going to be giving away a ride in the Harvard to one of the donors to his GoFundMe. The details for how to win that will be over there. Okay, so here's the uncut accident footage from all three angles.
Help, help, help. Oh.
And the nose cam didn't get a ton of footage because it sagged on one of his early maneuvers when he pulled a bunch of G, but the final bit of the accident does show an interesting perspective, so here it is.
I want to thank my sponsors, Los Aviator Coffee Company. They've been absolutely amazing to me. Before the incident, they were sponsoring the Sukhoi in my pursuit to the World Championships to bring back gold for Canada. Secondly, I want to thank Bonehead Composites. Without that helmet, I wouldn't be standing here today. That helmet protected my head and my life, and I highly recommend anyone who's thinking about getting a helmet or on the fence, go get one. And then thirdly, Aero. They take care of my aircraft, multiple aircraft actually, and they've been a huge help. And anyone who's looking for a good mechanic in Ontario, I highly recommend them. You can't go wrong with Aero. Thanks.
So if you're still here, thanks so much for watching to the end. And again, we're going to be giving away a ride into Harvard, so please do visit his GoFundMe to learn about that.
Clear pro!
And to see my training on this airplane and lots of other things, visit the Flight Chops channel. For updates on Ryan's aircraft and the investigation, he'll be posting on his YouTube channel. I've linked that in the description. And until next time, keep your flight chops sharp.
Fly Harvard, it's awesome.
Yeah, we need to add Ryan to our roster. I want another acro pilot for acro rides, and I mean, if you lay off the jaw-breaking hard stops, it was nice. Those were nice rolls. Did a couple rolls, did a loop. Then we did a beautiful scenic tour down the river.
It's very romantic.
I forgot where you came from. You come from the real acro world, where like just
It's not precise, I don't want it.
He is no gentleman.
no. He was, as soon as I said the gentleman's the warbird acro, he was like, I got it, and it was like just super gentle after that.
Let's calibrate that.
Okay, whoops. Yeah, it was
I'm
immediate.
not at nationals now. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.